The first order of business is the approval of the minutes. I have a motion by Senator Gary Smith to adopt as presented. Any objection? Hearing no objection, the prior committee amendments of April the 9th, 2013 are adopted. Members, we're going to today, the first bill we're going to hear will be Senator Adley's bill about 204, and we have two bills that are deferred to next week. Mine, Riser, SB 177, and Senator Long's SB 211. The remainder of the bills, we're going to do it this way. If it's a credit, exemption, or exclusion, we're going to hear those bills starting with the bills that's presented that you see on the schedule. We ask the members in the Senate to go ahead and schedule those bills and the remainder of them they have to come and be heard also. After we hear those bills, we'll reconvene and bring these bills back up to us for a vote. So we'll see what the cost is to the state and be able to sort it better after we have a cumulative effect, after we see the bills we'll be hearing from the Senate and those that are sent over to us from the House. So that'll be the order of the business for the committee for the remainder of the year on those items. Senator Adley? We'll now hear Senate Bill 204 by Senator Adley.
Members, this is a piece of legislation that we discussed in one of our preliminary hearings. We went through all the various different parts of it. Just to refresh your memory, in 2007, I had a similar bill where we actually sold about $170 million worth of bonds to start the rebuilding process of our technical colleges. Since that time, we've seen a huge growth in demand. We've seen those systems grow. We're back now some 6 years later.
Senator, let's check and see if your mic's on or not. Yeah, it is.
Is it on now?
Do you mind going back so we'll have it on the record?
I don't have notes, so we'll do that. Members, as I said, several weeks ago, we had a preliminary hearing where we went through this bill from top to bottom. To refresh your memory, back in 2007, we passed a similar bill. We began rebuilding our technical colleges in Louisiana. It has clearly paid off for us. I'll point out to you one important fact that I think is very important, and that is out of every 100 kids, on average, out of every 100 kids that enter the 9th grade, about 20 of them is going to get a college education. 5 more is going to get some college. That leaves some 75. We spend a great deal of time discussing how we're going to take care of everyone else, and up until 2007 spent little time talking about the 75%. Those bonds have been sold. We started rebuilding the schools. The growth has occurred. The labor force that we look for in Louisiana is now growing. This piece of legislation is the second part to follow up on the first, to continue that process. With that said, Mr. Chairman, before I get any comments from Dr. May, I have 2 amendments at the desk I'd like to get adopted to get the bill in the fashion that I'd like for it to be heard. Please, sir.
All right. Offer those minutes up at this time, those amendments.
Yes, I put them at the desk. I have one. It's 631.
Okay, members, you have before you set amendments identified as 631 by Adley. You want to explain those, Senator?
Those amendments, as Dr. May traveled around the state over the last 10 months or so, looking at what was needed in our system, and we put together the list of projects that in the bill as you see it. There were other projects that came up, and this is the addition of those projects to ensure we've covered everything we think we need to cover. It's got Delgado, North Shore, South Central, Louisiana Technical College. There's about 4 projects picked up with this amendment.
You have a question on the minute, Senator Colon. Senator, do you have a question on the amendments? Okay. Is there any objection? Senator Gary Smith moves adoption. No objection. Amendments identified as 631 are adopted.
Amendment 703 is an amendment I picked up this morning. It's purely a wording amendment, the way the bill was worded. If you look on page 1 I go down to line 16, there's language that says, and with the approval of State Bond Commission. That language actually belonged at the end of the sentence on page 2 and line 3. So we're not deleting the language. I am moving it to the end of a sentence where it reads correctly. And I would ask for adoption of Amendment 703.
Senator Hadley moves we adopt the 703 amendments. Any objection? Hearing no objection, amendments identified as 703 are adopted.
I'm sorry. Now I ask that
Thank you very
Secretary
much,
May.
Senator. My name is Joe May. I'm president of the Louisiana Community and Technical College System, and with appreciations to Senator Adley for bringing forward what I think is one of the more important bills that will be heard this session, certainly pertaining to higher education. I did ask that, I don't know if you received a copy, I did want to point out that right now in the state we're experiencing a shortage, or we're expecting about 35,000 construction jobs to be growing between now and 2016. We've taken a look, and if you look at the list of facilities, which there are 28 of them on here, of those, virtually every one of them, but 3, are directly related to increasing the number of skilled workforce that we have in the state. What you will see is a breakout, what we have now in terms of existing welding stations, aviation mechanics, auto mechanics, construction, allied health, manufacturing, industrial maintenance, marine transportation, process technology, and information technology. And you would see that what we're proposing to take with this bill would increase the number of seats available across the state, enabling us to serve literally thousands of more people every year, leading to middle-class jobs in across the state of Louisiana. Without this in place, we cannot meet the demands of the workforce as we project out the next several years. So I thank you very much, Senator, for your support of this, and I'd be glad to answer any specific questions that relates to the bill.
we're done.
Okay. give me one moment then. All right, let me read the cards in right now, and then we'll go from there. For our information only, Mr. Joe May, Senator asked you to speak on the behalf of it. Deborah Goodson with Regents, President would like to speak. Barbara Hanson, Louisiana Delta Community College, President would give information required. And help me with this name, Yuma Kruba Maney, and that's where Regents would like to speak. Monty Sullivan, Delgado College, President would need information if needed. Neil Aspinwall, President would give information if needed. Those in support of Senate Bill 204, Rodney Braxton, United Professionals, Aaron Monroe Wesley, Baton Rouge Area Chamber, and President would not only speak for information only. Mike Henson, President would like to speak in favor. Chamber Southwest, Jeff Davis, Economic Development. Randy Haney, Jim Harris, Blueprint Louisiana. President would not like to speak. Jock Roy, City of Alexandria. Jock, where you at? Welcome to the committee. In favor, does not wish to speak. Charlie DeWitt, City of Alexandria. In favor, President, not speak. Henry Freelow, River Region Chamber. In favor, would like to speak. Ashley Busada, Bossier Chamber. In favor, does not wish to speak. Marion Fox, Jeff Davis Parish Economic Development. In favor, does not wish to speak. Nick Cahanan, in favor, does not wish to speak. Jim Henderson, Bossier Chamber of Commerce, President for information. Tommy Fauché, Dow Chemical, President would like to speak. Charles Strong, Northwest Louisiana Tech College, President give information. Caitlin Berry, Greater New Orleans GNO, and those in opposition would like to speak in opposition to 204, Whit King. with the Treasurer. Ron Henson, President, will provide information if requested. The State Treasurer. Jim Napier, President, will give information if requested. State Treasurer's Office with John Kennedy. We'll have those in favor now come speak, then we'll have the opposition give ample time. If you have filled out a card in favor and would like to speak, now would be the time to come speak. Seeing no one, those in opposition to Senate Bill 204. Whit. Good afternoon, Mr. King.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm good.
Just to start off, we're not in opposition to the bill. We're not here to in opposition to the merits of the bill. Certainly, the merits are fine. We're here to discuss the financial impact to the state. As y'all are all aware, we have our debt, GO debt, and appropriation debt, revenue debt, all rated by the rating agency.
Just for a point of order, did you want to change these or fill out another one just for information only rather than opposition cards? Or?
No, sir. I'm in opposition.
Okay. All right. All right. I thought you said you weren't in opposition.
No, I wasn't in opposition to the merits of the bill, just the financial impacts.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As you're aware, we have a rating. The rating is based in large part on two primary factors: one, the security that we offer, and two, our debt management plan. And our debt management plan incorporates a net state tax supported debt limit, which currently incorporates general appropriation debt, revenue debt, appropriation dependency, and self-generated issues. These issues in the past have been appropriation dependency, and as the bill is currently drafted, would apparently still be appropriation dependent. The rating agencies give us a large amount of credit because we do have a debt management plan and a debt limit. Effectively, you're eliminating these particular issues from that limitation. The impact, I believe, and our financial advisor believes, is that the rating agencies will take a very dim view, and in all probability downgrade our GO debt because of it. Appropriation dependency debt is an indexed item. It indexes off the GO debt. So if GO goes down, appropriation dependency rating goes down. When ratings go down, costs go up. You can most probably bet that just on a GO issue, the difference between a AA and an A on a 20-year issue overall is about 25 to 30 basis points. Appropriation dependency is going to be a notch lower, and it's going to most probably be in the 40 to 60 basis point cost. That's just a simple fact. So, again, not disputing the merits of the bill, there is a cost of removing it from the debt management plan.
Any questions? I see no questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments, Whit?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Any other in opposition who would like to speak?
Good afternoon. Uma Subramanian, General Counsel for the Board of Regents. We are not here to speak in opposition to the bill per se, but we do have some concerns, and we are here to give some information on the bill. Partly the concerns are legal in nature, and partly they are policy and fiscal in nature. I will go through the legal concerns, and then Ms. Goodson will address some of the financial impacts on higher education, all of higher education. Under the Constitution, the Board of Regents is authorized to make recommendations on both the budget for higher education as a whole and for capital improvements and construction. The Constitution specifically says that requests for the capital needs of each institution under a management board's jurisdiction should come to the Board of Regents. So that's where it originates. All capital improvement construction requests originate with the Board of Regents through submission to the Board of Regents, and then the Board of Regents develops a priority list, and that is the standard practice. And it says the Board of Regents shall recommend priorities for capital construction and improvements. And based on the constitutional provision, the statutes go on to say the priorities for capital construction and improvements for all institutions of higher learning in the state shall be submitted by the Board of Regents to the governor and the legislature. So there is a centralized process to make sure that all capital needs as well as operational needs are assessed first by the Board of Regents and then submitted to the legislature in the form of a budget request for operational needs and in the form of priorities for capital improvement and construction needs. And then the Title 17, 3129 specifically says, the recommendations of the Board of Regents shall be considered prior to adoption of the capital construction budget by the legislature for projects from the priority list submitted by the Board of Regents. So again, this is to ensure that the statewide needs of the higher education institutions are assessed in light of the resources available to higher education, and then systematic, principled priority list is developed by the Board of Regents to be submitted to the legislature. We believe that Senate Bill 204 deviates from the constitutionally prescribed process, and we request that the committee allow the institutions to follow that process. The Board of Regents has some concerns about this specific bill, and it has requested the LCTCS president to come address the board at its next meeting. And Ms. Goodson will now go through the process followed by the board in developing the priorities.
Barbara Goodson, Board of Regents. My perspective is a little different. We certainly understand Dr. May and the needs of the LCTCS system and the desire to try to meet the workforce needs. From our standpoint, it's equality. We do not see that the other systems, and we have the Southern system, we have the LSU system, and we have the UL system, having any of their needs met. Currently, we have $1.7 billion in backlog amongst all of higher ed, and I'm talking about RUEs, where institutions have to cancel meetings, cancel classes, cancel events because it rained and the roof leaks. We don't have a mechanism at this point to even help them address those needs. The other issue is once you do a capital construction, and I know, Senator Adley, you've been on a lot of the money committees. One of the problems has always been, are we looking at the operating costs once we construct them? Higher education has been going through several years of substantial budget reductions, and one of the questions that I have is how will the operating costs of these new facilities impact the budgets for all the other institutions? And I mean, it is a concern for the regents because we have to try to protect all of them. While we don't disagree that this is a great idea and a great plan, the first one that you presented in '07 worked. We have visited those facilities and we're very proud of them from higher education standpoint. But we do believe that this will have a negative impact on everybody else. We have schools who, like I said, cannot replace roofs. They can't fix them. We have requested the last month 3 institutions to have roof repair to IEB, in which IEB will not meet anymore this year. We just find that this would not be an equitable solution for all of higher ed, and that is our goal, is to try to protect everybody. I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Members, do you have any questions? I see no questions. I appreciate the information that you've given.
Thank you.
Members, we've gone through the proponents, opponents, and those for information. The board is clear. Senator Adley, would you like to close?
If I can.
Let me get you there.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, it'd be just as easy to close from here, if that's all right.
Yes, sir, that's fine.
Barbara, they are difficult times. You and I and others I've seen testify, we've been through a lot of things together. I clearly recognize when we're in a position that's difficult. I want to make a couple of points to what you made. I understand your concern clearly about the rating. The effective date in this bill is 2015. I think you know as well as I know that until we move a piece of legislation, until these bond guys actually find their way to New York in front of one of the rating agencies for the bonds. We're never going to know what those rating agencies think. As we sit in this room today, I hope all of you that are sitting here understand this building can fall on your head. It can fall on your head. But the chances of that happening, particularly with an effective date of 2015, is slim and none, in my opinion. I want to point out to this committee, and I think this committee is as concerned about this as I am. In 2007, when we did the first bill, we went out and we got not only 2/3 votes from the legislature, but we got every single vote, only to find ourselves back before a bond commission who was saying the same things they're saying to us today. They didn't think that we could do this, only to find out months later that not only did we have enough latitude in the amount of bonds we could sell, we had enough to sell it without having to get the 2/3 vote. Just a month ago in this state, this bond commission met and said we were in $20 million of our debt limit. That equates to about $250 million that we could sell bonds for. Within a month of that, they turned around and issued $100 million for the non-federal aid roads and highways, which was a good thing, $100 million. Now, I don't sit on the bond commission anymore, but I do watch what you guys do. And I can take $100 million off $250 million. That leaves $150 million is all that's left. You and I walked in this room 1 week ago to get a report on how much bonding ability we had left to here. It's now $350 million. I say those things to you to let you know that regardless of what we do here, things do change. And all of the scenarios that we hear that everything's going to collapse around us, we need to be on guard for it, and your job is a worthy one and one that's much needed. But it's not necessarily what happens. What did happen in '07 when we passed this, and I think everybody sitting in this room knows that, throughout this state, we started training people. We've got one of the best skilled labor forces in the state, but it's not good enough. This bill is going to take it to the next step. Barbara, I heard what you said about the maintenance. We're not building new schools that were not there. We're rebuilding what we had. New schools cost less to operate, not more. I clearly understand the need that you have in higher education and vote repeatedly to do whatever I can to help you. I'm for that. But then I heard these comments from the Board of Regents. Now I want to tell you something, whether you like it or not. Y'all are appointed people. Everyone sitting up here are elected people, elected by the people of Louisiana, and nothing in the law prohibits us from passing legislations around you. As a matter of fact, the law is explicit to say that with a 2/3 vote, we can go outside capital outlay. And I put that in this bill with. I voluntarily put it in to require the 2/3 vote to ensure that we took all the concerns that were there and moved slowly through the process. But I'm going to submit to you that with an effective date of 2015, we're going to have plenty of time to answer your concerns. I would ask you to go to the Regents and tell them, when they start running for office and start representing people and not people who appoint them, then your argument, I think, is valid. But until then, these people have the right to do what they want to do. Now, I will tell you, in '07, when I ran with the first bill, I ran with a bill because in the Board of Regents, you put all these people at the back of the bus, and you left them there for years and years and years, and it's 75% of the kids going into the 9th grade. It is our labor force. It is what we ought to do. I would ask the committee to move the bill with amendments, and then as we move through the process, we'll find out what all the concerns are. But until these rating agencies move, we can't just sit here and say, well, the building might fall on our heads. I move the report to bill with amendments.
We have a motion by Senator Adley to report Senate Bill 204 with amendments. Any objection? Hearing no objection, SB 204 will be reported with amendments. Next order of business, Senator Chabert.